All right. Just like Matthew McConaughey. I got it. Welcome back in, everybody. Tuesday night AMA. Thank you so damn much for choosing us to tap into. We appreciate you. As you can see, man, Adam's always here, but we got a special guest.
Guest feature.
Eric Vanek from America's Game, Destination Devy, and of course you see him on Sundays with us doing the start sit. He is just part of the crew at this point. Eric, how you doing, buddy? Thank you so much for hopping on with us, man. First ever three-way guest. Wait, we've had guests on before, but it's just me or Adam. But we've never had a fatal three-way. We've never had this on the AMA.
Nice. Yeah, no, everything's going good, man. We had trade deadline today. I hopped on with Scott and for his Patreon and did a emergency podcast, just kind of breaking down each trade, like fantasy wise. So yeah, it was pretty good.
Hell yeah, brother! Thank you so much for hopping on, Adam. Man, I don't want to gloss over you, buddy. But how you doing tonight? You got the Pitts jersey on.
Yeah,
we're fucked for Sunday.
Listen, here's the thing, right? We have to acknowledge that. Three of us. Eric is now a staple on the Start Sit show, right? He hasn't missed a week. He's going to, at this point, he's basically locked in the rest of the year. We all said he was the third best tight end on the list. So I had to at least come in here and like rep this jersey and acknowledge that we were wrong, but then also put it knowing that here comes the jinx, right? The Kyle Pitts 2 for 12 yards is incoming next week. So Dynasty Alex says RIP takeoff. Eric, we appreciate you coming on, man. Always a staple on the Start Sit show. We're going to chop it up. What you don't know, Eric, maybe is last week, everyone's like, listen, we like you guys and all, but you need to get a guest on. Like, we need somebody else. You guys are kind of getting boring. So appreciate you hopping on with us, man.
Yeah, no problem, man. Happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Let's kick it off, fellas, man. This is the wildest trade deadline I can remember in my NFL fandom. Normally, we don't get shit happens. We talk it all up, and then the NFL teams just sit on their fucking hands. But I thought I saw a record. It was like 10 trades or something like that today. So fantasy purposes, man, let's start with the big ones, and let's just get some quick feedback, let people know how we're feeling. But the first one I got to talk about, man, my Iowa guy, I wear the hat, TJ Hawkinson going from the Lions to the Vikings, Irv Smith going on IR. Eric, you did the show with Scott. What were some of your opinions already on the fantasy implications for TJ Hawkins? Is it good for him? Stock up, stock down, left, right, indifferent? What are you feeling?
I think it's honestly just kind of the same. Scott brought up to me that Cousins is just not throwing as much as he has been in the past. And, I think that's just going to be Hawkinson's kind of just going to be that same kind of tight end for you every single week in that like 7 to 8 range. Hoping he gets you a good game, but it could be a shitty game too. So I think Thielen has fallen off a little bit too. So I think that might help Hawkinson a little bit. But they gave up a 2nd round pick to get the guy. They ain't going to just waste him. So I think it's maybe a slight uptick, but I don't know how much, to be honest.
Adam, what do you think about my boy TJ?
First of all, interesting all the way around for that, right? This is a guy that was a top 10 pick not that long ago, and they're trading him in division. Like, that's crazy as hell to see that for a young guy. Obviously, Irv Smith being out for so long, they just talked about his injury, probably part of the reason. I think Eric's probably right. I would say maybe a slight upgrade, but honestly, like he said, the passing volume's not great. Jefferson's still there. I'll be interested to see if that helps or hurts Jefferson. I would imagine another passing weapon just to have people look at only is going to help J. Jeff, honestly. But for Hawk, I'd say slight upgrade, but kind of more neutral, if anything, in my opinion.
I think he might become a little bit more consistent. But really, what does that give you in fantasy? I mean, maybe you feel a little bit better about starting him every single week once he gets acclimated to the offense.
Yeah.
Jefferson, I'm indifferent on. He's Justin Jefferson for a fucking reason. I don't think it's going to affect him one bit. I think it's actually pretty good for Kirk Cousins, though, to actually give him a real weapon. I'm not an Irv Smith guy. I never really have been an Irv Smith guy. I always thought I didn't really see what the appeal was other than,
right,
okay athleticism. Hawkinson's a much better tight end than Irv Smith was. And whenever Irv comes back, if he comes back this season, just another weapon for Kirk. I don't know, man. It just kind of feels like maybe the Vikings, they want to go for it, right? They're in the lead. I think 6-1. They want to go for it, and there was talks about them trying to acquire Brandon Cooks as well. So really trying to ramp up that offense. I mean, if this is the best you could do in TJ Hawkinson, I like it for Kirk Cousins. So I don't. Maybe I'm going to send out some sneaky Kirk Cousins buy offers and kind of bank on him coming back to the Kirk Cousins that we know. And maybe throwing the ball a little bit more and spraying it around the yard. So I don't know. That's kind of where I'm at on TJ Hawkinson. It's like, cool. Thank God he got out of Detroit. Get off the Lions.
Yeah.
At least go somewhere else. And he actually comes closer to home. So maybe I'll be able to catch an actual TJ Hawkinson game. I'll drive up to Minneapolis and watch him play. But the next big fantasy one that I had on here, I mean, this is probably about the only way we're really going to talk about this guy unless he did something stupid again. But Chase Claypool, 2nd-round pick, and the Bears' 2nd-round pick, not the one from the Ravens, their 2nd-round pick. Eric, we'll start with you, man. What are you feeling about Chase Claypool going from the Steelers to the Bears, right? It's got to be an upgrade going from the 3rd or 4th option to, 1 or 2, but, I mean, how are you feeling about him? Like, do you want to get some shares at him at cost? Do you not really give a shit? It's still Chase Claypool.
No, it's definitely an upgrade for his positioning. He should. I mean, the only thing is they don't throw the ball enough, so they gotta get into that like 30 to 35 pass attempt range for this to like really matter. Otherwise, he's gonna be sitting at 6 to 8 targets a game still, and that's kind of like what he was doing in Pittsburgh. So I'm hoping he gets more target share. Me and Scott were talking about like who's the alpha going to be there, Mooney or Claypool. I kind of think it's going to be Claypool, but I'm not really sure on that. But yeah, I like the situation for him. I like it for Fields as well. Like they have tried to upgrade his weapons. They did try to they traded for N'Keal Harry before the season. Then he had that ankle injury that kind of screwed things up, and then now they're getting Claypool. So they're making moves to at least try and help Fields. Now, we were all on their ass, oh, they ain't helping him at all. But, hey, I got to give them credit. They're finally trying to do something. So I like it.
Yeah.
What do you think, Adam?
What's good, Barry? What's good, everybody? Yeah, so here's what I'll say, man. What's interesting is I think this is more for Fields, something that's, I'd say, interesting. Like, okay, so if you think about what they're doing right now, they're kind of showing you all their trades, the defensive ones they made. They're tanking, or they're at least positioning themselves to clean up what Nagy and all of them fucked up, right? So what's happening, I think, now when you look at where they're at, what their future is, this regime, I think, is trying to decide what they want to do with Fields. And I think this trade is big because of why. You can't really assess Fields with his current weaponry accurately, right? You're just going to say he has to run for his life because who can he throw to? So you go trade your 2nd for Claypool. You get him a weapon, a jump ball guy, and you kind of say, all right, now you have Mooney and him. You get a better picture for what you're going to see with Fields, and I think their decision-making on if Fields is really going to be the guy moving forward. So I think the trade from that standpoint, for me, it should be arrow up for Fields, but also it's kind of like, okay, we're kind of trying to get you weapons to see what you have and what we're going to do moving forward with where we're going to be in the draft. That being said, for Claypool, I think it's probably arrow up. I'm not going to get crazy with it because he's going to Chicago. But what's crazy, Mike, you know what's wild? Eric, the lowest scoring team in points per game right now is the Pittsburgh Steelers. Chicago, as bad as they've been, are right in the middle of the pack at 20. So, like, they're scoring more. And I think if you average it of late, they're scoring a lot more. Passing volume's lower, but I think this helps Fields and that offense open up a little more.
I thought it was very interesting that this is the move they made. Like, we kind of heard the rumblings about it, and then they finally did pull the trigger. I was just surprised at the compensation that Pittsburgh was able to give for Chase Claypool, like a guy that we kind of knew since the draft that they've soured on, I guess, to an extent, right? You don't draft George Pickens if you're really comfortable with a Chase Claypool, so they just move on from him, and they get what's probably going to be an early 2nd next year back from the Bears. Good for Chase Claypool's dynasty value. Like, you want to buy into him a little bit more. We do have concerns about the volume, but I have less concerns about the volume even in a shittier passing offense like the Bears than being the 3rd, 4th option in Pittsburgh, who's also a bad offense. So yeah, good for him. I actually think it's a little bit better for Mooney too. Like, he's not really that proper like alpha number 1 receiver. Like it's a little bit hard when he's getting all that coverage, kind of similar to the Juju thing when he left, when Antonio Brown left Pittsburgh. So good for Darnell Mooney, obviously good for Justin Fields. Bad for Cole Kmet if you still had any hope on Cole Kmet. Like, nah, I don't think that's ever going to happen. So it'll be interesting to see how they use him when he gets acclimated. But I do like the move for him outside of the football standpoint, right? The draft compensation is like, Jesus, man. Chase Claypool's going for an early second. What the fuck are we doing?
Hey, on a funny note, too, here, I'm drinking Blanton's for anybody that wants to know. I know Eric is drinking with us. We're hanging out here. But funny note, man, the Pittsburgh Steelers sent to make the pick of George Pickens, Claypool, to the podium to make that pick, to just trade him away. Basically, like, listen, man, you're going to go announce your replacement and get the fuck up out of here. And then what's crazy from a Browns perspective, like, how does Pittsburgh get to re-roll him? And that could very well be a early second. Like, that I thought was definitely a better move for Pittsburgh, to your point. Jay asked us here, if Pitt ends up with a top 5-ish pick, could we see Pickett get Josh Rosen?
No. I don't think so.
I don't think so either, but Eric?
I mean, anything's possible. I'd probably put it at like 10% chance, but
I'm with you. I think it's a low chance. I think Tomlin wants Pickett to be their quarterback, move forward with him, and build around him. So I think the answer would be, could we? Yes, but like super small chance in my opinion. I think they're rocking with Pickett.
I'm gonna put up my foot in the mouth. There's 0% chance this happens. 0% chance.
Well, the good news about what you're saying, 0% chance, is you're either right or you're wrong, buddy. You know.
That's right.
Well, with Mike's luck, I hope nobody in the chat bought a Pickett jersey because he just got traded.
All right, some other fantasy important implications, whether they're important or not. Chase Edmonds going back to Denver as just a throw-in. He was kind of dead before this.
All right.
Is he even more dead now, going to Latavius Murray and Melvin Gordon? And, if we're looking ahead towards next year, Javonte coming back at some point. Anybody got any interest in Chase Edmonds at all? Is he even relevant, Eric? I mean, you just roster him and hope for the best, right? Is he just one of these guys you throw on a roster, and if it happens, it happens. If it don't, who gives a shit?
Yeah, I mean, they were throwing to Javonte a lot before Javonte's injury, and I don't think they really want to be throwing the ball to Melvin Gordon as much as they have. So I kind of think Edmonds is coming in to be just the pass catcher, really. I mean, he'll get a few carries here and there, but he can never handle that, like, 12 to 15 workload rushing the ball up the middle. So
Barry hit the answer on the head right here, man. Chase Edmonds is the RB1 of your rebuilding squad. You put him in there because he ain't going to do a whole lot. I think you're right, though, Eric. I think they do want to have a little better pass-catching weapon, and they don't trust Melvin Gordon in that role.
Right. And that's pretty much it, right? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe in best ball I'm a little bit more interested in it. Like maybe he gets a little bit more. But speaking of running backs and former Miami running backs, now current Miami running back, Jeff Wilson, going back to the Dolphins, reuniting with Mike McDaniel. What's this do to people who have been living off of Raheem Mostert? This can't be good, right? It can't really make you feel all warm and fuzzy on the inside.
I mean, I think that it's a familiarity. They see the CMC trade. It's like, hey, you ain't going to be using Jeff, right? Let's see if we can get him over here to the system we know. And ultimately, for them, you if you have the Shanahan idea at running the football, you're going to get guys hurt. Let's get some backup insurance since we sent Edmonds away in case Mostert goes down. I think that's more what it is for me. What do you think, Eric?
Yeah, I think the same. Edmonds, got shipped out, and they needed a guy to replace him, basically. I think Wilson just comes in, and he'll have a few carries, catch some balls, basically play the Edmonds role that Edmonds has been doing until Mostert gets hurt here, which he'll definitely get hurt here at some point, and then Wilson will step right in.
Yeah.
I think the biggest one I saw out of that is Myles Gaskin truthers had about an hour where they felt good, where they're like, fuck yeah,
he's back.
Myles Gaskin time. And then, boom.
That's me. I love Gaskin. Like, I've had him for a couple years, but actually Ahmed played over him this week, and Gaskin was inactive again. So yeah. I don't even know if Gaskin's probably just going to be inactive again, and Ahmed will be the third. So
side note here, Mike and I, last summer when I was doing a startup, he and I were talking about the team, where I was going to go. And towards the 10th round or something like that, I was between Visca and Gaskin. And we went back and forth. And I'm like, you know what? I'm taking Gaskin. He's like, show some fucking respect to Visca. Just watch. So we were very polar opposites on that pick. We pinned it in our chat, all for it to be fucking irrelevant. Neither one of them has any worth at all.
It doesn't matter. The bullshit.
Mr. B says, what would you give to get Ridley in a rebuild? Mike, on the same topics, right? All these trades. Ridley going to the Jaguars for a lot of potential moving parts in these picks. These two picks have anywhere from a second down to like a 6 in picks. So what do you think on Ridley here?
It's kind of all over the map right now. It's just a 5th and a 4th right now, but then if conditions get met, they move up, and then if he signs a contract with them, then it goes up to the 2nd. The whole fucking works. I think the willingness to put those conditions on it for Jacksonville, like,
means they might pay him. Yeah,
means they might fucking pay this man. And if that's the case, man, great for T-Law. It hasn't been a good couple weeks for T-Law. Like, his dynasty value keeps tanking, but again, kind of a situation like you were just talking about with Justin Fields, right? Like, we got to see what we have in him. Like, is he going to be the guy? And the best way to do it is you set him up going into next year. You got ETN coming on strong. You got Christian Kirk, who's probably not a proper alpha. So you go out and you get a guy to be a proper alpha. What would I give to get Ridley? Like, I mean, because he's not playing right now, he's kind of out of sight, out of mind. Right now, in the next few weeks, people are going to, he's fresh in their memory. Like, they're thinking about it. If you give him another 2-3 weeks, the value is going to come down, right? Like, people are thinking about, oh, fuck, I'm trying to make the playoffs. I'm trying to do this. I'm trying to do that. I want to compete this year. Mm-hmm. That would be the time to send out offers for him. Right now, I don't think it's the greatest one. I mean, I think I'd probably be comfortable sending a 23 late 2nd and just seeing where the conversation goes from there. And if I have to add a little bit on, depending on my team build and need and like how aggressive I want to get my Ridley exposure, I might add on something if Christian Watson continues to suck and it looks like he's going to be a face planter. Like, dude, I'm going to send that dude away. Like, if Elijah Moore keeps going down this path of about to be irrelevant, that's another guy that I'm thinking about. What can I get to get Calvin Ridley just to set myself up for next year? So,
yeah, I mean, I'm kind of on the same page. Eric, what do you think on Ridley? Like, where are you comfortable if you're in a rebuild exploring, with Ridley? What would you pay?
Yeah, if I'm in a rebuild, you're probably going to be like the 201, 202. I don't want to do that.
Right.
I was with Mike. I'd be comfortable with like 207 to 212, somewhere in that range. I don't think somebody's going to do it for a third. Maybe if you're 301, maybe.
Yeah, I would try that for sure. I mean, I would start there.
Yeah. I'd be comfortable with that late 2nd. I think he's in a really good spot there. I think they're going to re-sign him. He's going to be the alpha there. I like Christian Kirk, but I just think he's more of a slot receiver, and that's where he's best at.
Right.
So he's going to be there. Zay Jones can play the other outside receiver. Marvin Jones is close to probably retiring here soon. So I like it a lot for T-Law. They're trying to get him weapons too. They've gotten him. Evan Ingram's a free agent too, so we'll see what they do at tight end. There's a couple tight ends that are free agents. Gesicki and Schultz come to mind. Irv Smith, if he comes back from his injury, he's a free agent too. So, yeah, there's going to be multiple weapons out there that I can try and get.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm with these guys. I'm not sending an early-ish for 2nd. If you can send a late one, or like Eric said, if you're a tanking team, your early 3rd, I'm in on those. The thing is, I think the other thing to keep in mind too is you have a lot more leverage if you're rebuilding and a contender has Ridley, right? As injuries continue to pile up, as bye weeks are continuing here, and people are trying to secure their spot for the playoffs, you have a little more leverage than they do on this. So don't get too crazy here.
Yeah, don't get too crazy. And the last fantasy relevant player that got dealt, Nahim Hines to Buffalo. My initial reaction to it is just now we got a 3-headed clustered fuck in Buffalo, and unless you're in a best ball league, like, I don't have a whole lot of interest in any of these guys. This doesn't feel good for all my James Cook love that I had, that I thought he could be something, and it started to look good the last couple weeks, and then just fucking Buffalo just says, fuck you. And Eric, what do you think about Nahim Hines in Buffalo? Like,
Eric, real quick. T-Rock says Gaskin he thought was bagging groceries. Isn't he working with you over at John Eagle now? You said Miles Gaskin, right?
Yeah, no.
What do you think on James Cook and obviously Nahim Hines and everything over there in Buffalo?
I mean, obviously Buffalo has been trying to get that position. They tried for J.D. McKissick, and that didn't work. I thought James Cook could do it, and I don't know if he's just not picking it up or he's just not any fucking good. It's one of those two. So they went and got Hines. He can play that role. I think it'll reduce Singletary's receiving workload a little bit, and Hines can take that over.
Yeah.
Hines will get a couple carries. They don't want him getting more than 4 or 5 carries, so I think he can do that. I think he fits in pretty good there. I'm excited for it. Like, I'm not like going out and spending a second rounder to get him or anything, but if I can get him for a third, I'll do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And with James Cook, this is just a lost season. We'll see what happens next year, basically.
Yeah, I think the reality is we were starting to see more James Cook these last few weeks, right? And I don't know that he was ready to break out per se, but it was kind of feeling like he's starting to earn more snap share, and you can basically put that to bed, I think, for the rest of this year, and who knows even what next year brings. But it's going to be delayed on any type of value gain I think you're going to get for James Cook, so be prepared for that. Mike, any other trades we want to talk about, or do we want to talk about kind of last week and in the landscape now here, man?
That was it, man. Rest is all just defensive dudes, just getting swapped around. I mean, unless you give a shit about Zach Moss going back to Indianapolis in that trade, which you shouldn't. It's just yay for Deion Jackson.
Go ahead, Eric.
Yay for Deion Jackson.
I was gonna say Deion Jackson. I kind of like his spot now because he proved he can catch the ball, and with Hines out there, he just takes over the Hines role now. So if you held on to Deion Jackson, you probably got a running back that's useful in PPR leagues.
Yeah, you know what's interesting, Zach, you missed a whole lot, buddy. You're gonna have to rewatch. Sorry, we love you. So I would say this, man. To your point, Deion Jackson, I think, is a lot more intriguing because of Taylor coming in and out of the lineup. Now, what I will say about this trade is you could fucking forget anything Zach Moss. I mean, just that's irrelevant. But I will tell you that I've had a lot of people asking me on, what's going on with Taylor? What do you do? You can't move Taylor right now. His value's so depressed. You kind of have to sit on him. But I'll say this, Nahim Hines being gone and Taylor, if he's able to get healthy, I don't know how bad his injury is. Like that probably for him is very good too. I think Deion Jackson, to your point though, becomes extremely intriguing. We know Taylor is someone you want to roster and you want, but I think it does help Taylor, and I think if there's injury concerns continuing with Taylor, Deion Jackson becomes very intriguing. So that'd be where I'm at.
Jonathan Taylor's an interesting one. I guess maybe there's a scenario if you want to like dump him for 2 first type. So you'd kind of think about it like the Saquon Barkley thing, right? Saquon Barkley last year, value depressed, all the injuries, everything piling up. If I held him on a rebuilder, I was ecstatic when he finally came back and started producing and got to that point where people were like, oh yeah, Saquon's back. And of course he's back, but you could finally get back to that 2 first value and sell him off. I guess now if you want to sell off JT kind of at the 2 first, if somebody's going to give it to you and you want to get out, that's fair. That's fair. But outside of that, man, I'm not taking a first and a second. I'm not taking a first and a couple seconds unless they're both really good, like early 23 seconds that I know I can flip for more later. But you're pretty much just stuck with it, man. There's nothing you can do.
I would say this, I think if you can get two first right now, I would just get out. And not because I don't like Taylor and don't think he can do well. It's just that the market is so bad on running backs. If you can get 2 liquid assets of first, I'm done. Single first or like a first and a late second or whatever, like I'll just hold Taylor for that. I think he's too good. But yeah, to your point, man, if you get 2 first for Taylor, I don't have any problem getting out right now.
Well, let's
for
get
that
to the people,
for that
man.
price. So Wyatt says here real quick, I'm a contender. I have Ridley, and it would take 2 seconds to sell him personally. Eric, Mike, if you needed to send 2 later seconds, would you entertain that, or is that too much for Ridley?
If I'm a contender, though, I'm not taking the 2 picks back anyways. like you're gonna have to give me 2 seconds of value worth of a player. Like I need something as a contender.
Let's just say on the value perspective, like whether it's players or actual picks. 2 later second value worth of picks or players?
It's almost a territory where I just want to, that famous TikTok from a few weeks ago, right? On the fuck around and find out scale. I almost want to just fuck around and find out about Calvin Ridley. I really do. 2 late seconds. Kind of the way this class is shaping up with the questions with some of the wide receivers. The running backs are good, but quarterbacks keep taking a hit, it seems like, every single week, other than the top tier guys. I mean, we've put all our faith now in Hendon Hooker as the third quarterback, I think, exclusively, and it's like, shit. 2 late ones, man. Nah, I'm good, man. I think I'm probably just going to hold.
E?
Yeah, I'm the same. I probably would just hold. I could get behind a second and a third if it came to that. Like, I'd be okay with it because thirds are really just bullshit.
Yeah.
If you look on the warp chart of what draft picks actually are valued, like only like the 301 and 302 have any value, and after that they're just jerk off hand motions, basically. Who cares?
I mean,
there it is.
I love that. That's the E we came for. No homo. By the way, the thing with this, right, is the thirds. I think the thirds are grease pieces in trades, right? Like I'd like to have thirds as liquidity to trade away to help make deals get done, but like you don't want to be sitting on 2 or 3 thirds and just shooting shots at fucking third round picks too often in rebuilds, because you're lucky to hit one of those, if anything. So let me say, what do you think, Mike? I mean, is that a second and a third, late second and a third? Would you do that one? Or are you just holding still?
I'm still holding.
Okay.
Still gonna fuck around and find out. And like I said, unless I'm a contender. If I'm a contender, by all means, like I'm not thinking about the picks, but I'm thinking about how to improve this team or add something depth-wise. Whether it is a dude like, Jeff Wilson, and I'm banking on Raheem Mostert getting hurt, right? So with that third, that's what I'm thinking about. Like, it's a third. Maybe I'll go buy a Jeff Wilson or something like that along those lines. So on if I'm a rebuilder, man, hopefully I've done a good enough job having enough liquidity and enough assets build up where like these late ones, these early thirds just don't interest me a whole lot. Like Eric said, the warp value on most of those picks starts to get really fucking gross. And I'm just thinking like, fuck, now I got to move that in another deal. Like it's always good to have liquidity, but there's some point on a rebuild where I just have too fucking much, right? And everybody knows it. And they're like, he wants to get off this. He doesn't want to make all these picks. No shit.
Yeah.
No shit. I don't want to be stuck making these picks.
All right. So I'm trying to get to the questions that we got a bunch of comments in here. So I'm trying to get some of the questions that I missed. Patty Mills was offered a late 23 first and a second for DJM. Our thoughts. Eric, I'll start with you, buddy. What do you think?
I hope you helped DJ pack his fucking bags and fucking send him on his way. That's what I think. I mean, we were just talking about Jonathan Taylor is worth 2 firsts. So a first and a second for DJ Moore, yeah, sign me up. I'll take that all day.
Mike, where you at?
I love DJ Moore so much, and I'm so glad he came around, but this is why we bring Eric on, to be the voice of reason. Fucking Eric's right. like pack your shit, get the fuck out.
See,
hit the road, motherfucker.
The reality is, too, like, I love DJ Moore a lot, too, and I like seeing here's the thing, right? Before that game, you were not going to get this type of offer, right? Like, people were scared shitless of DJ Moore. He's back, right? But the second here is what makes it for me. A late 23 first, you can just fucking keep it. I'll hold DJ Moore. You throw me the second, DJ Moore, I'm gonna get you a plane out of here, buddy, because we're going with those picks. I think that's where the difference making is for me on that trade. So, let's see. Any other thoughts, Mike, while I'm digging up questions here? We got a bunch.
Nah, man. It's just like my DJ Moore, like, truth or status, my DJ Moore fandom. I love to see him succeed, but sometimes, man, you just got to look at it and go, well, somebody's just going to give me, at best, 90% of what he may be worth if he continues to explode for the rest of the year.
Yeah.
Gotta go. Gotta go now.
And I think we have to be real about DJ Moore too, right? He caught a bomb touchdown. Great play, but he still got PJ Walker thrown to him. They still have no fucking idea what the quarterback situation is going to be. They had their chance to trade him today. He's another guy that didn't get moved. He's gone, man. gone. I'm a contender, and ARSB is my wide receiver 5. I've been offered Burks and a 23 first for him. The pick should be top 5. Eric, we get this guy his bags as well.
Yeah, the pick's going to be top 5. Yeah, see ya. I'll take Burks and a top 5 pick easy.
Let me ask you this. If it was a later first in Burks, are you holding ASRB there?
I'd probably would still take Burks on the first there, yeah.
Agreed.
I mean, if that pick's 4th or 5th, you're probably in line to get the top wide receiver in this upcoming class that you want. Whoever it is, JSN, Butte, Addison, whoever it is. So you can exchange that for all day.
I think that's the reality. We know that Bryce Young and Stroud are going to go. We know that Bijan's going to go, right? So to your point, you're probably talking about one of these later riser quarterbacks, a Hendon Hooker maybe or something like that, or your first or second receiver off the board, or Gibbs, right? Like,
yep.
That's a smash.
Too, yep.
Marlon,
yep.
Take that. Marlon, let me ask you this, though, just to be sure. Is this a AAF league? Is this a 1 QB league? Because if that's a 1 QB league, like, I'd probably still take it, but it's not quite as egregious there. Mike, where are you at?
If it's a top 5 pick, yes. I go ahead and make that pivot even on a contender, right? I just take the value, thank you very much, and move on with my life. If that's on the later side, like you asked, like outside of the top 5, 6, 7, if it's even later than that, man, on a contender, it's one of the weird times where finally we get a move on the opposite side where nobody's going to say this hurts Amon-Ra St. Brown by TJ Hawkinson getting shipped away. It actually helps him, gets him out of the middle of the fucking field, and it's going to be the Amon-Ra show like it already has been, but even to more extent. Even if he is my wide receiver 5, man, he's fast approaching that elite tier. You know, if you just look at the warp data on him, like, it's incredible what he's doing. Now, it hasn't caught up completely because you still have those people out there like 4th round. Oh, he's a 4th round wide receiver. At some point, it just stops fucking mattering. The guy's good at football. So on a contender, man, even if he's my wide receiver 5, it's good on you for having 4 wide receivers better than him, but it's going to be tough to replace that. And in the day and age we are right now, fucking, you're going to have 5 top 12 wide receivers on your team. Shit, you're going to win your league. So don't fuck that up for just a late first in Treylon Burks.
Yeah.
For a top 5 first in Treylon Burks. All right. I'll just take the value. Thank you very much. And I'll move on with my life.
Yeah. I mean, to give you an idea, Keep Trade Cut, obviously we laugh about it, but they're just valuing whatever the fuck people put in, and it's just crowdsourced. So they have him as wide receiver 11, the 29th overall player in Dynasty. So, I'm doing that, but just keep that in mind as far as, like, you might be able to get more than you think for Amon-Ra St. Brown trades right now. Here we go. Dynasty Barry wants to know, he's following up on that question. Are you taking 2 late firsts for Taylor? Let's say they end up the 110 and the 112. Would you still do it, Mike?
No.
Eric?
It's close. I'd probably would want like another decent running back if like he gave me like Khalil Herbert or something like that back. I'd probably do it, yeah. But straight up, if I know it's 110 and 112, it's close. But I mean, it's got to be a Superflex league. It's got to be a tight end premium league, so I know I have some more options of people that fall to me.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I probably would want like another running back.
I'll say this. Because 23 does have a good amount of running backs, and because running backs are looking like they're going to be depressed assets, like, I think there's probably a chance at 110 you can get a replacement level running back. It's not going to be Taylor. Don't get that twisted. It's not going to be Taylor. I'm with Eric on the plus. I'm with Mike on no to the picks. Like, if you gave me back a running back that I can put in my lineup today, if I'm a contender, I'd do it. But just the picks, like, without any additional plus or grease piece, I think I'd want that back to make the trade.
And on a rebuilder or productive struggle, if I still have Jonathan, failed contender, for example, and I'm looking to get off Jonathan Taylor, I still need a plus back. Like, I need something that I think could increase in value.
Yep.
I get it. Like, 23 firsts are nice. except those are on the later side, and that's the part of the 23 first where you start going like, who the fuck is actually going to be here, right? We kind of have some names, but we're not entirely sure on them, and that could fall out at any point too. Like bad combines, bad draft capital, that kind of thing, bad wide receiver class, and all of a sudden it just doesn't look as good, right? All the good guys go early, so I mean, it's still Jonathan fucking Taylor, man. He's still 24 years old, coming off of back-to-back seasons being a top 10 running back. So I'm not panicking already and just giving him away. But you give me a nice plus back, and I'll divest. I'll diversify my assets and go like, well, I hope I hit on this 110 or I hope I hit on this 112, and you give me fucking Sky Moore or something like that back where he might be a 0, but at least it's something that could increase in value over time.
Yeah, I'm with you there. So T-Rock wants to know, Eric and I got, the dub yesterday versus the Bengals. Not just a dub, not just any dub, but we crushed the Bengals. Can we dedicate the rest of the show to how great a blessing it is to be alive and witness the almighty Chubb? I was talking with my buddy on the way into work about this. I think that, like, Chubb not being able to catch passes is the only thing keeping him out of the absolute ridiculous elite when it comes to like guys we've ever seen play running back. He doesn't catch passes, but just a in between the tackles runner, he right now looks like one of the best we've ever seen.
It's incredible too. I mean, the guy's almost 27, and this year, like, he's having a good fantasy season. He's fun to watch. He pounds the ball up there. And we do this whole thing like he's the best pure runner in the league. He's just a really good fucking running back, right? It's just they don't throw the ball to him.
Thanks for the heads up, Wyatt. I'll get to it.
It's not his fault. He can catch passes. We've seen him do it, and we've seen him be effective at it. It's just not the way he used it. I was almost looking forward to seeing what a full Nick Chubb workload would be because he's only playing about 50% of the fucking snaps. Like, just fucking send away Kareem Hunt, please. Please, I want to see like what a 65% Nick Chubb snap share would look like. And they give him 22, 23, 25 fucking carries and just do the Derrick Henry thing with him. Like, we could have had something really special. And then, they're like, we're holding on to Kareem Hunt, you motherfuckers.
Well,
you robbed us.
Let me say something real quick here, and then I'm going to kick it to Eric to get his thoughts. I saw a graphic that basically said, keep this in mind, too. This is a Jacoby Brissett-led offense, right? This is a team that does not have, like, super high upside as far as scoring opportunities. Nick Chubb is on pace today for 1,800-plus rushing yards and 21 fucking rushing touchdowns. And that's not with Deshaun Watson. I mean, Mike's on mute, but I'm speechless, too. Eric, What do you got?
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about he's the best running back in the league, honestly. I think he really is. He is what Ken Walker aspires to be. Like, that's the one thing with Ken Walker is, okay, we moved him up to RB2 in Dynasty. That's what Keep Trade Cut has him in. I don't know if people have him there. But he's probably going to be top 5, top 3 by the end of this year.
Yeah, no question. As long as he stays healthy, no question.
Yeah. So, I don't think he's ever going to be as good as Nick Chubb because he's not going to catch the ball just like Nick Chubb doesn't. So, look where we value Nick Chubb already, even though he's smashing like this. And people want to value Ken Walker as RB2 overall in Dynasty. Sign me up to sell Ken Walker if I got any. If somebody's coming with me with 2 firsts plus, 3 firsts plus, whatever it is, here you go, Ken. I'll help you pack your bags too.
Yeah, I think to that point, Ken Walker, if the right offer came along, like, I would sell there too. I just think that the RB market as a whole is depressed in value. So, like, I don't know that you'll get, even though Ken Walker, it says RB2, and Keep Trade Cut, and people probably feel like he's a top 5 Dynasty running back. I don't know that you're going to get someone to really give you 2 firsts and a plus. Like, it's one of those where I think it's kind of a product of the running back room being down as a whole. But let's get to question here, unless you had something else to talk about there, Mike, on Chubb and Ken Walker.
No, just the exactly the point Eric's making, man. You and I love Kenneth Walker, and we had to do like backflips to get people to draft this fucking guy in the rookie drafts over Garrett Wilson and Treylon Burks and Drake London. Like, people
Didn't happen most times. Yeah,
people thought we were fucking crazy about it. and it's good to see him playing really well. But Eric brings up a good point, man. Similar to what happened with Travis Etienne for us heading into like July and August, where his dynasty value, his startup value just went to levels where I'm like, why are we doing this shit? Kenneth Walker is fast approaching that territory, and he probably is there already where it's going. Like, Eric brings up a great point. Basically, Nick Chubb, younger version, right? And we kind of hope he gets to that Nick Chubb consistency every single fucking year about it. But if people want to give you the full boat, they want to give you RB2 prices, RB3 prices, go ahead. I'll ship Kenneth Walker away. And then about next year, when people start to come back to fucking earth and realize he doesn't catch passes and he's not this super elite RB asset, and he becomes a value again like Nick Chubb, disrespected every single year that you can get in the fourth round of your startups, that's when I want to be back in on Kenneth Walker. And that's where I want to be on Nick Chubb. And that's where we should have been the whole time, right? He had that crazy ascension, and then people realized and pushed him down, and now he's just constantly disrespected. So I kind of think this is just the ideal path of Kenneth Walker. And right now you're at the fucking peak. So if you've got Kenneth Walker, put him on the block. You get 2 first plus. See ya. Ask for 3 first and see if somebody's an idiot. Somebody's looking at keep trade cut going, fuck yeah, I'll give you 3 first.
Yeah, I mean, if you're getting that type of return, sure thing. To me, I would say this. I'm not in the buying Ken Walker business. I have enough shares. My valuation of him is because the running back room or the running back landscape as a whole is where it's at. But anyway, Wyatt here, we got a bunch of questions apparently I missed. Traded Bateman, 24-second, 25-second for Aaron Jones and Jamal Williams. 8-0 team. RBs going into the year were Brees and Javonte, who are already sold. Thoughts on this deal? It's a 10-team start 11. Eric, we'll start with you, buddy. The guest. Talk to our boy Wyatt here.
I think it's – I mean, I get it. You're 8-0 and you're going for it, so it makes sense for your build and what you're going for. So I get that. Like, just go for it. I think you overpay just a little bit because I think 1 second is fair for Jamal right now, and then Bateman and a second for Aaron Jones. I think that's a little bit of an overpay for me. But I get it. You're 8-0. You're going for it. You lost your 2 best running backs, and Aaron Jones and Jamal Williams could definitely – be enough for you to get over the finish line and win your league. So I don't blame you for doing it.
Mike?
I like the Aaron Jones part. I fucking hate Jamal Williams with a passion, man. In a 10-team too, like start 11. I guess, man. I mean, you just saw him have a good week, with DeAndre Swift back. But you look at the 2 weeks before, like, were you getting shit out of him? RB 52 and RB 36 on those weeks. Get it, he was banged up, but still it's just like Bateman in the second. I'm with you, E. Like, for Aaron Jones, if I was going for it, I need running back help. I don't like trading away Bateman and giving something else on top for Aaron Jones, but you do what you got to do. When I look at you take the 24-second or the 25-second for Jamal Williams, that's the part that I just don't like. Like, I just wish you got a different, more consistent running back. Even a guy we talked about earlier, right? Like, if you got a Raheem Mostert type, right? A guy that is getting the work and is putting up consistent, albeit sometimes unspectacular, but consistent weeks, week in and week out, I'd be more on board with that. It's just fucking Jamal Williams that just drives me nuts.
Yeah. I honestly, though, I think I'm fine with this. Especially because it's a 25-second. Like, that's I think, especially when you're not trading the first and 25, like, that's a recoupable asset, in my opinion, on a contender, right? Like, you probably overpaid to Eric's point, but fuck, man, Bateman's out longer. Those seconds ain't helping you do much. Aaron Jones is the key piece of the deal, and I think that 25-second, even though Jamal Williams is the piece you're getting back, is really helping you secure Aaron Jones, who, listen, man, you lose Brees and Javonte, you're not going to throw out great running backs all the time. You're just trying to basically help keep this team you've built that's good riding along. This is part of being a contender too, man. Sometimes you have to make overpays to get the guys in your lineup that you don't want to pay over for. It's the reality. I think it's a move that's a slight overpay, but it's a heady one. I think you needed to do it. Let's see. Jeremy Clark. Is Wandale the real deal? Do I consider selling because it's likely the New York Giants draft another receiver? Eric, what do you think, man?
I talked about this on Scott's show yesterday. Wandale is what he is. He's going to be a slot receiver who's going to do all that dirty work over the middle and very short routes. He's going to have like his stat line is going to be like Julian Edelman, like 8 for 65 every single week at his peak. And that's just not like it's nice to have in your lineup as like your flex or wide receiver 3, but he's not going to be like winning you any leagues. He's never going to be an alpha. He's never going down the field and dominating ever. He's just a solid PPR receiver. Like I don't see his ceiling above that at all.
I'm fully with Eric there. I think like he's a nice little like bye-week plug-in, probably makes you feel somewhat secure of points in a flex spot. I think to me, the big difference here, Jeremy, is the league setting. So if I'm in best ball and I have Wandale, like you can fuck off because you're not going to pay me what I need in best ball. If it's in lineup, come get my Wandale. I'm begging for you to come get my Wandale. Like I think this is a big understanding your league question, personally.
He's Jacoby Myers with a little more flair to him, right?
Right.
Like in the way people value him. Like Jacoby kind of got dunked on, but he's just a solid, steady wide receiver. Like Eric said, on lineup leagues, you might plug him in on bye weeks, or if you're in deeper lineup leagues, he's a nice, cool. I can put him in my flex. I'm gonna get fucking 8 to 14 points on a good week, and that's perfectly fine. It's just not sexy or do anything. And to your point, Adam, in best ball, those are the kind of guys where you're not going to fucking pay me what he's worth when he does have those weeks. Like when he catches 2 touchdown passes, instead of just 1, or gets in the end zone or does something crazy, gets a jet sweep down by the goal line and gets an extra touchdown that I wasn't counting on. So in best ball leagues, like you're not paying me enough for him. In lineup leagues, like I'm cool moving on from you if you're going to pay me something decent and I have the opportunity to re-roll it in something that may be a difference maker. Like you're talking mid-second round pick. You want to send me a mid-second for Wandale? Cool. You have him. You enjoy. Hope he helps your team, whatever. I'm going to shoot my shot on one of these dudes in 23 or one of these dudes in 24.
Yeah, 1,000%. Jeremy, so that's the one. If you're in lineup, which more leagues are lined up than best ball, I'm trying to move him for a second. Best ball, fuck off. Simple as that. So we got a question from our boy Jay. Shout out to Jay, El Gancito Savage member. If you're a failed contender, are you shipping out Sutton, Smitty, Barkley, Pitts, or Higgins? Pitts, no. If I'm a failed contender, the fuck no, I'm not sending out Pitts. The other guys at the right price, yeah, they could all go. I'm not itching to move off of Higgins. I'm not itching to move off of Smitty, but for the right price, they can go. Failed contender, Barkley, I want to move. I'm not going to let you get me to give you Barkley cheap, but I want to move Barkley. And Sutton, I'm definitely trying to move on a failed contender. Eric, is any disagreements or extra thoughts on that?
No, I agree with you. Sutton, he can definitely go for a first. Barkley, 2 first, he can go. Devontae, man, I like him. I still want to hold on to him, but if somebody wanted to give me a first for him, I'm okay with re-rolling on that. Pitts and Higgins, I think I would want to keep. But yeah, those other guys, failed contender, can definitely go, especially Barkley. I mean, this is maybe his highest price you could ever get him. Now he's on a bye, so he's not even helping you this week. If someone's willing to give you 2 first plus or 2 first even, I'd just go ahead and do it. With his injury history. I'm
going to say one thing, and then, Mike, I want to get your cost on what you would need to get Higgins. But with Barkley, I think we need to keep this in mind. Everybody's seeing Barkley play really well, this specimen, this freak that's awesome, right? This is kind of what Mike and I talked about as, like, don't sell light on Barkley in the offseason. But we're seeing him right now, like, he's smashing, right? The only thing that could happen for him to possibly get any more value is he goes to a great situation, a la Christian McCaffrey, which we need to get to before we get out of here. That's the thumbnail. But, like, he's getting to a peak point. Everyone's wanting to say, like, why would you sell Barkley on these failed contenders? Because I traded him for Swift. Maybe you wanted more than Swift, and that's fine. But understand, what would happen to Saquon Barkley's value if he got another injury in the next week or two? You're talking about a cratering asset because it's 25 years old, and we've seen him be hurt. So I think you need to really keep that in mind when you're moving Barkley. It's not just, this is this elite prospect. We all know that. We all know he's capable of doing what he's doing right now. But keep in mind, he's 25, and we've had hard times staying on the field before. So, Mike, what would you need for Higgins if you're going to move him on the failed contender?
Man, you got to get to that 2 firsts, just kind of like Barkley. Like, I don't have a whole lot of reason to move him. He's a young, explosive, good wide receiver. Like, going to be an integral part of my rebuild. I get it. I'll move anybody for the right fucking price, but you got to approach that 2 first territory for me. And you may not come completely to it, but like, it's got to be pretty fucking close. Like, I have to be pretty enticed to do it. Pitts, like, I'm not moving Pitts just because his value is so depressed. It's down.
Right.
I'd rather just wait and see if he comes back. Sutton gone. Smitty, kind of like Eric. Like, I love Devontae Smith. I'm a fucking Eagles fan. We did a video about him. I love Devontae Smith. I'm happy he's succeeding. People are panicking early, and then we kind of see it come back, and he's still having decent enough weeks. But he is what he is. It's the A.J. Brown show until it's not, until he's hurt or something like that. So with Smitty, man, if I could re-roll to a first and I get anything on top of it, cool. You can have him. Go ahead. Barkley, I want that 2 first. And we kind of talked about it in the Discord. People are like, nobody's paying me 2 first for it. This is where in like the rebuilds or the failed contenders where I try to get cute with it, where it's like, all right, give me a 24 first if everybody values 23s. Oh, I don't want to give you a second one, though. I don't want to give you another first. Well, then I'm going to try to get a couple players that I think could be ascending who are at that like first value and try to piece it together where I can get off of Barkley for a solid asset and then maybe a couple guys that I think are up and coming who I think are worth a first or pretty close to a first and just piece the shit together to get them off because like you said, Adam, comes out and has a knee injury in a couple weeks. That fucking stock's almost going to zero, baby. Like, it's done.
Yeah, I mean, on a failed contender, it just like I'm not going to let someone bully me into taking a fucking shit offer. But the point is, if you can get out at the peak value, you're de-risking all the other scenarios.
Yep.
So Dynasty Alex, thanks for the reminder. He sent me one in the chat here. I have a long-winded question above, and as you see, I pasted it with 3 fucking parts of it. So long-winded, 12-team PPR depleted Devy league. I'm looking to move AJ Brown. Owner is asking for Marvin Harrison Jr. plus. His QBs are Hurts, Kyler. His running backs are Chubb, Montgomery. Wide receivers are Diggs, Evans, Cooks, Boyd. Tight ends, Goddard, Ertz. My Devy roster is Harrison Jr., Richardson, quarterback out of Florida, Devin Achane. What should be the plus with Harrison Jr. to acquire AJ Brown? My team is 7-1. That is a long-winded question, but I'll leave it all here so we can kind of look over it. Eric, I'm going to start with you as the guest, and I know he plays in Devy. This man is in all kind of leagues. Eric, spit some knowledge to our boy Dynasty Alex here.
Yeah, if I'm going to do that, pretty much anybody that's not Hurts, Kyler, Chubb, or Diggs. Have your pick. Harrison Jr., and if he wants Evans and Goddard, sure, here you go, have them. That's what I would do. I think any of those other guys, I'm just fine with moving them. I think they're all older assets. They're all declining assets, every single one of them. So, yeah, he can have his choice of, like, 2 of those other guys if he wants. If you want to go with the Devy guys, like Richardson, we all see the hype and what he could be. He's going to have to really, really, really improve to even be, like, a starter in the NFL. Like, he's at, like, Jalen Hurts, like, college levels, like, maybe even worse than that. And then a chain is, like, yeah, a chain is super fast, and he could be pretty decent in the NFL. He's still, like, 185 pounds, 190 pounds. He's not very big, so, like, the success rate of those guys in the NFL are just not very good. So if he wants Harrison Jr., one of those Devys, and Brandon Cooks, sure, go ahead and do it.
Mike?
This one all comes down to like what you're trying to do with the team, right? Like if I'm trying to compete, obviously I want to get AJ Brown on the team. But like Evans, Cooks, Boyd, Goddard, Ertz, to some extent Montgomery, Chubb, like these are all guys integral pieces at the point to my contention, to me being a contender.
Right.
And nobody's going to give me back what they're actually worth to my roster being able to start them, because they're all just older declining assets that are kind of uninteresting to people. But like if I'm in any type of fucking like rebuild looking forward, then I kind of get an asset diversification mode where like AJ Brown's fine. I just don't really feel good about putting Marvin Harrison Jr. in along with some other assets to go to one guy. I want to stay spread out. So it's an interesting trade, and what you're trying to do with your team would really dictate what I want to do with this move. Like if I'm competing, man, I'm looking at him and I'm trying to sell him on the fact, like, I will give you Marvin Harrison Jr., I will give you Anthony Richardson, I'll give you Detonation, and you want to take a Devy first next year, go ahead, you can have that. I'm trying to throw as much shit out the wall and trying to convince them, like, AJ Brown could get hurt at any moment, man. Take all these young assets. This is the direction you want to go, while holding on to Diggs, Evans, Cook, Boyd, Goddard, Ertz. Like Monty is just kind of whatever, man. If you wanted to send him away, go for it. Like if that was the piece to put you over the top, go for it. I just don't think he's going to look at Cooks, Boyd, Evans, Goddard, Ertz, any of these guys and think like it's something good. And they're actually just worth more to me being on my fucking team.
So yeah, I think the simple answer for me would be I'm going to move Harrison. I'm going to give him Richardson if that's a value, especially it sounds like he's taking Harrison Jr. He wants to get younger and more on the Devy side. And then I would throw one of the the Montgomery, the Cooks, and the Boyd if that was something that needed to get the deal over the edge. But, like, I'm not going to just throw – like, I don't want to throw too many of my contending pieces on the NFL side at this. I love A.J. Brown. He's a stud. I'm willing to pay up for him, but don't deplete your whole NFL side to do it. It would be my big thing to tell you on that. So – let's talk real quick while I pull up some of these questions here. CMC, man. I think there's some things to talk about with CMC. I'm curious to get your guys' take on it before I get to a couple of other questions here. I think we saw an absolute fucking explosion, right? That's the whole thumbnail. I mean, the dude went bananas. A couple things I think we need to keep in mind here. The situation obviously is better than Carolina, and we saw in that game the guy is Christian McCaffrey. Like, he's capable of the receiving work, the rushing work. Like, we know he's that guy still. I think there's two things you got to keep in mind, though, if you want to kind of, like, be a little more cautiously optimistic than just, like, over your skis. One, we've seen him even the last 2 years in Carolina post games that are outrageous, but what happens? When he gets that type of workload, the body breaks down, right? We've seen this a million times. Two, I think not even to that point. Who was out of the lineup for Frisco? Deebo Samuel. Right? Deebo Samuel is a guy they've been utilizing in this hybrid utility guy role. And I think the fact that Deebo's on the sideline, you get McCaffrey all that work combined with Deebo's going to come back at some point, and you have the injury history. Like, this is not to shit on Christian McCaffrey. The guy went out and balled. Like, if you have CMC shares, you're happy as hell. But just, I think to keep those things in the back of your mind, it's not the fun thing to talk about, but it's something I think you got to be realistic about with Christian McCaffrey moving forward. I'm going to pull up some questions. Eric and Mike, what are your thoughts, guys?
Well, Eric, let me ask you real quick. If you have Christian McCaffrey and he's not, or, you know, you get that random in-season offer for your Christian McCaffrey if you still have him, like, what would it take for you to dump him right now? Like, if you're on a rebuilder, obviously you want to get off of him a little bit sooner. But if you're on a contender right now, he's an integral piece to your team. What would it take to move him off your team? Like, if somebody wants to buy in on this.
I mean, it's probably right now with the way he's playing. I want that Barkley price. I want those two first again. So if somebody's willing to pay it, you can have him. Yeah, I think when it comes to the offseason, though, again, he's just going to fall a little bit again in value. Maybe, I don't know, being in San Fran, he stays there. He might stay up there just because it's San Fran. Mm-hmm. But, like, man, you know how I feel about him. The guy's always freaking hurt, man, and I get tired of it. So,
of course. Mike?
I think it's Adam, you said we don't really want to talk about it and it hurts, but you do have to kind of look at it objectively. Like, the initial reaction was, we had it on Sunday night, was, holy shit, I'm sorry that I didn't think you'd ever be, this good again. Like, immediately he just shit all over that narrative and put that to bed. But
immediate.
Like, when you look into it, man, like, what a blow-up game he has. And then you're looking and you're going, man, Deebo was out. And they use Deebo in a lot of these kind of roles, right? What does that mean when Deebo comes back? Like, do we get a little bit of a reduction? Are we ever going to see a game like this again? I think it's possible, I don't want to forecast injury or anything. That doesn't go into anything that I'm trying to do analysis. Like, I'm going to approach it like he's going to be healthy for the rest of the year. I just think he's kind of like the Kenneth Walker thing where it's like, boom, we get this overreaction, and now he may be valued too high, and he may be valued at a point where I'm going, fuck it, like I'll let him go. Like, I think he's a top tier running back again for the rest of the season, but how high? Like, people are already going to put him back at, he's RB1 again. Like, he's back at the top. Fuck you, Jonathan Taylor. Fuck you, Barkley. Fuck you, Kenneth Walker. Fuck all this stuff. We got Christian McCaffrey. He's back. He's the king again. And if you want to pay me for that, even on my contenders, I'm ready to move off. And God, I hope I have them on a rebuild or two here and there that haven't moved off yet. And somebody will give me that price. Give me that 2 first plus and adios. But even on a contender, man, I like doing the whole Eric move where I go, give me 2 first and just give me somebody I can plug into my lineup at the running back position. Give me somebody back that's just worth a fuck that I can start and just move on.
Real quick, man. We got a lot of people in here. We've had a lot of people in and out. If you're here, you're still watching, do us a favor, hit the like button while you're here. We appreciate all your comments, questions, all your engagement. We did have Mike, our boy Dynasty Alex, join the Patreon just now while on live stream.
Thanks, Alex.
Alex, we love you. We appreciate you, man. Happy to answer your questions too. Anybody else, $1 a month gets you in the door. Patreon.com/South Harmon. All the AMA stuff you see here, we do all the time over there on the Patreon. So if that's of interest to you, we'd love to have you there. Real quick, we got a couple other questions I need to get to, but we got a little fun one here. Halloween's over, but T-Rock still wants to talk about it. It's all right. We'll deal with it. That's what T-Rock does. He's Savage. We'll answer the damn fucking question. Eric, what's your top costume all time?
That I've worn or that I've seen? What are you guys going with?
I don't see anything in the chat other than he thought we missed the question. T-Rock, your time is now, buddy. If you want to speak up. Go ahead.
I'll just go. Yeah, I'll just go with the one that I had. I never really did it too much, like in my older years, but
Warren,
one
he
that
says,
I did.
Yeah, Warren.
Okay, that one that I did. I don't even know how many years ago it was now. But I bought a Willie Beeman jersey off of eBay. I bought the fucking skull cap that I bought the wristband. I had everything. So I went as Willie Beeman one year. That was fun.
Fuck yeah.
I'll tell you what, Mike, you answer. Everybody that's on this, I'm going to answer in our Patreon with a video of me chugging a bottle of Grey Goose in the outfit. So I'm not gonna answer. I'm not gonna answer it here. It's a pay-per-view only. You got to pay for these. It's an OnlyFans. It's an OnlyFans type answer.
He's hiding it behind the paywall. But me,
you want to see my toes? You need to show me something.
A couple years ago, I took my Eagles hat. I took my nice Eagles polo that I had. I got some black slacks, and I shaved the beard down to just a mustache, and I got some glasses, and I went as Andy Reid. Eagles Andy Reid.
I bet you that was a dope little costume. I like that.
Yeah. It didn't fit too bad, right? I got the belly. I'm fat.
Dude, I could see you. I could see you, Andy Reid, and the fuck out of this thing. Yeah.
The only thing is, he's got a much better mustache than I did. Like I had to draw with eyeliner to make it thicker.
T-Rock, I'll give him this too because this ain't bad. He says, when I asked Mike about trading for CMC, he simply replied, "All of it." All right.
I'm a simple girl. I get right to the point.
Dr. Harris says, yeah, pay up for the top tier content. You know it. You want me in the costume. I got you. I got video. We got, I think, 1 or 2 more questions, and then we got to get up out of here. Eric, we got a guest here. If it was just Mike, I'd make him, even though he's got to work early, answer everybody's questions. But tonight, unfortunately, I can't promise every question answered, but I want to make sure that we get to every question.
I can be up late. It don't matter to me.
Oh, well, Mike, the Cleveland people have spoken, baby. Actually, we don't have a shit ton of questions, but let me make sure I get to all of them here. There's so many comments. Y'all are the best, man. I'm having a hard time even finding fucking. Here we go. Zach has a good question. This is for Mike. But why do you hate Jamal? He's talking about Jamal Williams.
Zach should know I hate shitty backup running backs like Khalil Herbert. He should know this by now.
Oh man.
He should know.
Yeah. Fair enough.
What do you guys think about Swift? He only got like 5 carries and like a couple catches again. Like, I'm getting tired of him too. Like, I can't live with this 5 carry bullshit. He's had that like 3 weeks in a row, even before his injury. Like, I'm getting kind of tired of his shit too.
Well, so here's what's interesting, Eric. We talked about this on recap, but I think it's a good question and a good conversation. Week 1, his usage was actually fine, right? But the one thing that did happen week 1 that wasn't happening last year as much was Jamal Williams was getting that goal line work. And I was kind of irritated by that, right? Week 2, to your point, right? He popped up with the ankle injury, but everyone's like, oh, it's not a big deal. He plays. Usage was shit. Then the shoulder pops up, right? He comes back. He takes an extra week. I thought for sure after the bye, Dynasty Alex, if you're in the building, this is Dynasty Alex RB1 Swift. Here we go. And you know what? As I'm saying that, he fucking's in the chat. I knew he would be. So this is the thing with Swift, right? He takes the extra week. You're like, all right, just get healthy and come back and be the guy you're supposed to be. And then he gives us that usage. Eric, I'll be honest. I love the fucking talent of DeAndre Swift.
Yeah, me too.
But I'll say this. Like, to me, this has to be they're not comfortable with his injury yet or he's not fully right. Otherwise, like, this makes no sense. And if he's actually healthy at this type of usage, we need a new coach. Otherwise, that's fucking a problem. Like, I don't know what else to say. The 5 carries, 6 targets on these checkdowns, just he's good enough to score a touchdown and keep saving the day, but like that's not what we want DeAndre Swift, and that's not what we paid for when we took DeAndre Swift in rookie drafts, in trades, all that shit to get to here.
Right. So I'm starting to get a little bit of Austin Eckler vibes with him. Like early on in Austin Eckler's career when Melvin Gordon was there, it was like Eckler would come in and be this super highly efficient running back, and you're like, why the fuck doesn't this guy get more touches? Now, DeAndre Swift is Austin Eckler with draft capital, but he's very good with the touches he gets. He just never gets enough. And then at some point when Melvin Gordon left and it was the Austin Eckler show, we saw exactly what Austin Eckler could do when he got all the work. And even this year, they started off, we're going to limit your workload, blah, blah, blah. He didn't have great games, and all of a sudden then they're like, fuck it, man. He's our best offensive player outside of Justin Herbert. Get him the football, get him the work. Fuck the limiting the workload. And then Austin Eckler went back to being Austin Eckler and exploding. At this point, though, you hope that's the case. And this doesn't continue for another year and another year. And we just keep constantly being like, well, if he becomes this, but what if? He's extremely talented. He's extremely explosive. He's extremely efficient with the touches he gets. Just for whatever reason, they don't give them to him. And Adam, I'm with you. Like week 1, he comes out, he gets a 66% snap share. Jamal Williams vultures some goal line. You're like, shit. But DeAndre Swift still has an incredible week. Week 2, 50% snap share. Week 3, he got hurt, 44% snap share. And then he comes back, he's back to 50% snap share. And the routes run is still almost the exact same. He's about 20 routes run per game. It's just the carries. They just won't hand him the fucking football. He went from 15 carries week 1 to now we only give him 5, 7, 5.
But here's
frustrating.
The troubling part to me, too, is watching the game unfold. If you go back and watch week 1, which I'm sure not many people are going to do this, and that's why I'll tell you what happened. A lot of these goal line touches that Jamal Williams got, they were actually on the back of Swift making a really big play, and you see him get a blow, right? So it's not even confirmed in that 1 week that, like, Jamal Williams is necessarily the goal line back. To me, it was looking like, like he got a blow, just happened to be the wrong time. Williams gets the goal line work. But when you saw the snap share, to your point, Mike, it's almost 70-30. No issues, right? But now, especially because we've been here with the injuries before, this is where it's troublesome. Like, this is where the usage and the injuries, I think, are making people get the scaries. So, I don't know. Eric, all that being said, Mike and I both kind of touching on it. Like, you're irritated with them. But what are you going to do with them? Are you willing to buy in the places you have them? Are you trying to sell? Like, or are you just kind of waiting to see before you make any moves?
Yeah, me and Scott talked about it. I think I'd definitely be willing to sell on him because I love the talent. He doesn't get the touches. He doesn't have one goal line carry this year at all. It's every goal line carry has been Jamal Williams. And it's been like that for, it seems like 2 years now since they brought in Jamal Williams.
Yeah.
It's funny. I went back and watched Swift's rookie year when people were like, "Oh, he can't score on the goal line," and I watched all of his touchdowns from his rookie year, whatever it was, he had like 6 or 7, and like every single one of them were on the goal line besides for one. So I'm like, the guy can run on the goal line. He's good. Like,
Yeah.
I know he can do it, but
I mean,
yeah,
Eric, our first podcast I actually broke down. This was Mike and I's first fucking podcast. I mean, if you're on our Patreon, you can go back and listen to episode 1. I'm sure we sound fucking tragically bad. No savviness, fucking, all tight and all that. But I did talk about how the year prior, which was Swift's rookie year, on their goal line work, and this is, you got to remember, Jamal Williams was in Green Bay now, which was a much better offense.
right.
The goal line, the red zone work, Swift destroyed Williams in the red zone work. Like, it's not that Swift can't be utilized on the goal line. He's actually really good. We've seen him.
They don't want to use him there.
It seems like there's a Campbell thing with, and I'll be honest, man, I think this is the old schoolness of Campbell, is when you got a guy like Swift who's hurt and not giving you full reps in practice, he ain't going to give that guy the work. And I think it's fucking, it could be that simple. I'm scared to say that could be the case, but I think I'm going to say it.
I hope he comes out next year in training camp and he just gives one of those speeches that makes Twitter rounds like Jamal Williams, and then maybe we'll get fucking the DeAndre Swift we all wanted, right? Maybe because after that speech, Campbell's like, you know what, Jamal, you're getting all the fucking red zone touches, just all of them. I don't care if Swift broke it off 99 yards to the one. He gets tackled at the one, his ass is coming out, and you're going in, buddy. Like he's like Varsity Blues, right? Like, you got to house that shit outside the 20, or you ain't getting the touchdown. So, just give him the football, man.
We are getting off the rails, and I love to see that. I'm going to just finish with, we got some craziness going on. They're trying to clarify what a question is. T-Rock's trying to make everybody say, if you have a question, you need an eggplant emoji to go in front of it.
I see all these fucking dick emojis in the chat.
I don't know what the hell's going on in our AMA channel, man, but fuck. Let's say this. T-Rock is trying to make it a thing. Just put question ahead of it or something. You don't got to put the fucking eggplant emoji. If you want to, make sure it's at least the GIF that, has the vein in it like Eric likes. AMA panel, who do you see exploding over the second half of the season? And that's the question, because the second part, we're going to just stop there. If you have something to say on A.J. Dillon, though, go ahead, Eric.
I just like the exploding and the eggplant in the same fucking sentence.
Yeah. Nothing about Dillon, but the explosion and the eggplant, I'm with you.
Yeah, I like Dillon, but he's another one just not doing. I don't know if it's just that offense this year. That's another guy I'd be willing to sell. Just I'll re-roll for give me a second round pick. Yeah, I'll give you AJ Dillon. You can have him.
The offense isn't good enough to support 2 running backs, and Aaron Jones is going nowhere. I've never been a truther. I've been someone that was mildly interested at the right price. I'm good on AJ Dillon. Mike and Eric, anyone that you're trying to buy right now that you think has a big second half of the season? Let's just remove the AJ Dillon part.
I really think Khalil Herbert, honestly.
Ooh. Son of a bitch.
Ooh, where's Zach? Zach, you with us? Zachary.
I think he's better than Montgomery.
I will say it's starting to look like he's more efficient. I got to say that.
And I liked him a lot when he came out. He can catch the ball too, so they've been using Montgomery more as the pass catcher. But Khalil Herbert can do at least an adequate job. It might not be as good as Montgomery, but he's at least halfway decent. Plus, they have Ebner there. That Ebner is a really good pass catcher, so they could do that as well. But I just think I think he's more talented than Montgomery. Montgomery's going to be gone next year. I don't think they're bringing him back. There was trade talks with him today that didn't happen, obviously. So I think he's gone, and Herbert should be the guy next year. So you're buying him for the rest of this year, which I think he can still be pretty good. And then he should be hopefully top 16 running back next year.
That's fair. I'll give you one. Justin Fields. Right, you got the Chase Claypool thing. Defense is even worse. I don't know if it's going to translate to wins. Probably not, because that team's pretty bad. But as far as fantasy production, it's kind of like everything that we wanted to see for the quarterback, right? Defense gets shittier, going to have to score points, going to be more up-tempo. He's starting to come on pretty strong here from a fantasy standpoint. Like, maybe not all the way through the air, but now you get him another weapon. Doesn't hurt him anymore. I think Justin Fields could be that especially for those people in like the redraft or the 1 QB kind of thing. Like if you bought low on Justin Fields, I think you're going to see some of the rewards where you're going to be able to plug them in every single week and not really worry about who your quarterback is.
Adam, which bear are you buying, buddy? You're on mute.
He doesn't want to buy any, so he just leaves himself on mute.
Okay.
Yeah, you know what? Because that's how little I want to talk about Bears right now. I tried to say I was going to be the bear of good news, not the bear of bad news. But let me say this: what is it going to be? 13? I'm going to cheat here. Yeah, week 13. I'm going to tell you who is. There's 3 players. Is Deshaun Watson, Amari Cooper. And if you think Chubb is balling now, just wait till you see Watson in this offense. And this team right now, positioned at 3 and 5, what's interesting is when Watson comes back, even if they fuck up these next 3 games, they're going to be in a position on paper to make the playoffs because that division is not good. They're going to be throwing, and I think Browns as a whole, and Njoku probably not because of the high ankle, but Cooper, Chubb, Watson are the ones that are going to explode second half for me.
And I still want to buy Njoku and Donovan Peoples-Jones if I can get those guys cheap too, especially with Watson. Like you said, they're going to have Watson next year. So
great call. And I think, Eric, to that point, best ball DPJ is probably a sneaky little throw-in you can add to deals.
Yep.
Dr. Harris says, what is the least you'd be looking for to trade away Dobbins? I missed this earlier, and then we're about out of questions. We might have 1 or 2 more. Mike?
Man, at this point, if I could get 2 seconds for him, I'd be happy and just move off.
I turned down trading 2 seconds away on a rebuilder. So if you can get that, I think I'm doing it.
Yeah, I think that's probably the least I would be willing to do it for. Honestly, I would just hold until the off season when he gets some more hype again, and hopefully you can get like a first. Even if it's
that little bit of rebound.
Yeah, if you can get the 2024 first, because I know Jordan Backus has talked about it.
Yes.
The 2024 class, I think, is better than the 2023 class, honestly. So
it's at least
get the 2024 first. I'd go for that.
It's at least parallel, and it looks to be deeper. I'm with you. If you can go 24 first, do it. Shit, I'd even take a 25 first. But if you ain't giving me a first, I need 2 seconds. Otherwise, to Eric's point, even if you're worried about the knee and the age and all that, you can still wait and sell on the hype of he's back in more healthy this season. So 2 seconds minimum. So let's see. All right. Jay Jackson. Would you give Breece Hall and a 24 first for Saquon Barkley on a contender, obviously? Mike and Eric, where are you at?
Man, that's steep as fuck for me, but we're at the point, though, like if you feel really good about your contender and you want to push for it, go get that money, man. I'll send it away. I don't want to, but Eric? You got to do what you got to do.
I don't think I could do it, no. I get what Mike's saying, but I don't think I could do it.
Here's what I will say. I'm in the middle. I'm going to gap the two of these things together and brace everybody together, glue it all together. It is burnt money. Like, this is not the deal you want to make.
Right.
I'll tell you that right now. But I will say, see, Scott and I talked about this, Eric. I don't know if you tuned into this or everybody here listening. I don't know if you tuned in. If you didn't, go check out our South Harmon, the shit show live we did when Mike was had to work. We talked about this a little bit. And I asked him the question. I said, if your hero RB goes down, what's your approach? Because now you're going to have to try to fill 2 running back spots. And he talked about how he needed to get to that 28 points per game threshold. And he said, here's the thing, right? This question ultimately comes down to, have you constructed the rest of your team correctly? Because if you haven't, you're trying to fill in a spot, it doesn't fucking matter. You better have the right quarterbacks, the right wide receivers, and you better have the tight end spot locked up, right? If you have all those things and you truly are a running back away from winning the title, this is an overpay. I try to get something coming back your way, but I would pay this. I would need probably a little coming back my way, but you also don't let this type of a trade not be the reason you win the money if you're really built correctly. I think that is the bigger question here is, are you truly built right, and is Barkley the piece that's keeping you from a title?
You're muted there, Chief.
Yeah, I'm muted? Oh, Mike is.
No,
go ahead.
My dumbass. I was just gonna say you hit it on the head, man. That really nails it. I'm assuming the rest of your roster is properly constructed, and you're not trying to fill backfill and be that little Dutch boy, right? Trying to put holes or fingers in all the fucking holes in your team, right? If you are, forget it. Just hold out.
If you're built correctly and ready to go, go ahead, Eric.
Like Clark Griswold in Vegas Vacation when he's at the dam putting the bubble gum in.
Yeah,
exactly. Don't be Clark Griswold.
Gabe, appreciate you stopping by. Listen, man, I think this is the point where we need to go ahead and just admit that it's time.
Let's hit it.
I'm going to hit some music because T-Rock is out here trying to go to bed on us. He says he needs to be tucked in. He's on the downward of his drink. I think his wife is taking the bottle from him again like it's that AMA. So, T-Rock, man, appreciate you being here. Everybody else, appreciate it as well. Eric, thanks for stopping by, man. This was a good one. We talked about a lot of good things. Hopefully this helped all you guys here that are in this AMA, tapped in. Just remember, we're going to be back here next week. As always, the schedule goes. We have a trade show coming out Saturday. We have another person on the trade show, a guest. We have all of our content going to continue every single week. Go ahead, Mike.
I was going to say, before we get out of here, too, make sure you're checking out Eric on Saturdays, Destination Devy feed, America's Game podcast. For me, man, as a content creator, not only because I'm part of Destination Devy, but it is a fantastic podcast to listen to. It is a staple. Listen to him and Scott chop it up every Saturday. So I listen to that shit. I work a lot of Saturdays, so I'm fucking going into work, I'm listening to it. I get to work, I'm listening to it. And on my drive home, I'm finishing up America's Game every single week. And if you want to follow Eric on Twitter, put the link down in the description, right? I got his Twitter handle in there. Go follow him, Eric Vanek NFL on Twitter. So, Eric, man, thank you so damn much for being on here. You have become a good friend in the space. I know when we first started out a long time ago in Destination Devy Heisman, you and I button heads. You probably fucking hate this guy. We're pieces of shit. Now I enjoy every time that I'm chopping it up with you, buddy.
Look at us now,
man. Thank you so much for agreeing to be on here, brother.
No, I agree, man. Same. Thanks for having me, guys. Make sure you guys tune in this Saturday. I got two guests this week. It's gonna be interesting.
Oh, we got guests everywhere. Let's go. And Eric, you got anything else to plug? Go ahead and do that, man, because we appreciate you coming on, bro.
Nah, man. I appreciate you guys just having me on. Just at Eric Vanek NFL is my Twitter. At America's Game Pod is the pod for the podcast as well. Just check that out. We're on the Destination Devy feed, same spot where you find these guys at. So just listen to us on Saturdays.
Sounds good, man. I think that's gonna be it. Mike, anything you got for us, or?
No, thank you everybody who tapped in. This is probably gonna set a record for us for most fucking questions, most chat comments the whole week. I'll look it up on the analytics afterwards, but you guys were incredible. The whole show is because of you guys. It goes because of you. Thank you for tuning in every single week. And you can find us same time, same place, Tuesday night AMA. We ain't going nowhere.
Going nowhere. Content Colossus is every week around here. This ain't just a part-time thing. This is every fucking week. We're coming to you, dropping knowledge, bringing the hot guests, Eric Vanek NFL on Twitter. Listen, come check us out too. We got a really good, dope guest. A very good friend of Eric Vanek, not to spoil anything, but we appreciate everybody tapping in. Keep topping it up with us on our shit. Go ahead, Eric. What you got?
Damn, you guys got Kate Upton?
Yeah, Kate Upton, man. And you know what's funny? Kate Upton. Well, Kate Upton's coming, and T-Rock. That's why I told you I wasn't going to tell you here, because Kate Upton's going to show the question T-Rock had, the best outfit for Halloween and all that. So, we're going to do that on the trade show, but we appreciate all you guys tapping in, man. We are out of this fucking thing. We are getting way off the rails. We love y'all. We're out of this thing. Peace.
Yeah.